The chosen one. Everything you are seeking for is already in your home. Open your eyes. You're yearning for power, riches, and tranquility outside. It is already there inside you, in your environment, and in your universe. People are looking for miracles, far distant. Chase the answers outdoors. However, everything is already within your grasp. It is within your control. Consider now. Can you imagine your house as an energy center? The order and vibration there guide your life. But here's a secret. Do you understand how to utilize it? Does it overflow with energy that draw you down without your knowledge? Or does it provide you prosperity, tranquility, and power? Like a magnetic attracting field. It's time to wake up. Stop searching for it. In the outer world, find the true treasure. What do you own? What do you already own? Because what is normal for you as a chosen one is impossible for others. Are you ready then? Write in the comments right now. Because change is at your doorstep. The muttering began off barely audible. Ripples amid the quiet. Conversations alter subtly. Swift looks exchanged like secret signals. The truth, no matter how carefully covered, has a way of creeping through the gaps and refusing to be buried forever. At first, it was simple to dismiss misunderstanding, jealousy, idle conjecture, and even a deliberate smear from people who couldn't understand the complexities of the situation. However, the truth is unrelenting. It hangs in the air, waiting for the perfect time to charge forward with unrivaled power. What was once dismissed as minor noise has now exploded into a crescendo, shattering illusions and forcing people who previously sheltered behind a veil of falsehood to face the raw truth they so desperately attempted to hide. The power of revelation is like a hurricane tearing through the perfectly placed parts of an illusion, leaving nothing but rubble in its path. Every fiction, previously woven with confidence, is now unraveling each knotted thread, exposing the empty structure underlying the citadel of deception. Once untouchable, collapses when the weight of indisputable evidence weighs down on it. The trained posture starts to break. Expressions stiffen and words falter. Exposure's unmistakable tremors erode composure. Allies who previously stood in steadfast support now automatically retreat, as if the air around them has become poisoned. Distance is their new protection as they observe the unraveling with wary detachment, refusing to be drawn down into the same abyss. These are not insignificant distortions or failures in honesty. These were well-planned maneuvers designed to preserve power at all costs. Now that the layers of concealment have been removed, the reckoning is no longer a distant danger, but a harsh reality. Attempts to excuse this shift in blame by diluting the indisputable simply help to hasten the slide. The more they search for reasons, the more inconsistencies emerge, creating a no-way-out spiral. What started as a moment of pain quickly turns into a full-fledged breakdown, an irrevocable unraveling that reveals the destruction of their acts. When all avenues of evasion have been tried, and the last remnants of credible denial shatter under inspection, they are left standing on the verge of their own destruction. Each step forward is now determined by the weight of consequences. Every step is evaluated under the unwavering gaze of people who previously felt there were no more shortcuts, no hidden exits to sneak through unobserved. The moment they tried so hard to avoid has come in full force. The mask that formerly acted as a barrier has been shed, revealing the truth underneath, which no longer corresponds to the image they so carefully constructed. What was previously polished and impregnable is now raw and vulnerable to the tempest of consequence. The carefully created character, once supported with unflinching assurance, has vanished into thin air, leaving just the unmistakable weight of what has been accomplished. The guilt sticks to them like a second skin. The understanding sank in with an intolerable weight. Every phrase was said. Every choice is made. Every thread of lies weaved into the story has now become an anchor, drawing them further into the pit of their own creation. They see now what they couldn't before. What they made was never intended to stay. If you are experiencing an excess of divine love in your heart, now is the moment to share it. You may help spread God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube and donating $200 or more. This wonderful gift will affect not just your life, but the souls of countless others via this platform. Each of you has a special role in God's big plan, and your giving will be the result of our prayers. Act now. Share your benefits to honor His kingdom. You were meant to do much bigger things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. History has seen this before. The fate of people who consider themselves untouchable. The exposure of those who mistaken cleverness for invincibility. This awareness that no amount of cunning maneuvering can overcome the inevitable march of truth is old in nature. The empire they built in secret is now revealed in full daylight. Its weak foundation crumbled to dust under their feet. The stage they once controlled has been converted into a place of judgment. Every error magnified, every lie, bringing it into the light for everyone to see. The flight of support is quick, an unsaid judgment given by the same hands that once supported them. The same voices that previously sung praises now murmur in scorn of the adulation they once enjoyed, replaced with a harsh coldness. The bonds that held everything together unraveled at breakneck speed, and those who had previously stood by their side vanished into the throng, anxious to obliterate any evidence of affiliation. This isn't just a misstep. It is an erasure, the disintegration of what they considered untouchable. Something moves from the ruins, however. Balance starts its steady return. The aberrations that had slanted the scales eventually restored what had been taken. Trust, dignity, faith was recovered. I am no longer adrift in the emptiness of manipulation. The same force used to mislead now recoils on itself, restoring balance with the precision of an unbreakable force. For those who have withstood the deceit, the weight has lifted, as have the restraints that once silenced them. Dissolved, making way for a freedom long denied. The ground underneath them remains stable, no longer disturbed by doubt or darkened by the shadows of untruth. And when the dust settles, a new chapter starts, one in which clarity replaces uncertainty. The echoes of deception fade into the distance, and the truth, no longer restrained, reclaims its proper position. For far too long, the invisible shackles held strong, not made of iron or stone, but of reluctance, uncertainty, and the weight of unseen forces bearing down uncertainties, seeping in like a sluggish moving fog, making it hard to see the horizon clearly. There was a time when speaking out felt futile. A voice was drowned out by the thunderous boom of power and authority. Standing alone against the stream seemed like a lost cause, as if the tides of perception could not be turned. However, this confinement was nothing more than an intricate fantasy, a flimsy structure supported only by the assumption that those in authority were untouchable. Now that the curtain of deceit has been torn, their control cracks, showing itself to be nothing more than an empty phantom. The power they formerly wielded was nothing more than a theatrical show, an elaborate act that required your involvement. Take away the props and artificial lighting, and the set falls under its own weight. The version of yourself that was before this web of deception, before your voice was silenced and your senses rejected, is still intact. Underneath the layers of indoctrination, that unspoiled and clear-sighted part of you has been waiting for this opportunity. It rises no longer bound by the past, pushing forth with the assurance of someone who no longer doubts their own wisdom. It's like a fire, shut up in your bones, a blaze that cannot be contained. You attempted to keep it back in order to fit into the mold that the world had established for you to follow. They sketched, but the strength inside you couldn't be muted. It was always intended to break free. You were always supposed to be exactly who you are. There comes a point when the spirit inside you becomes too powerful to ignore, when the truth you hold refuses to be buried. That moment is now. You are entering a force that has been formed through every challenge, setback, and moment you thought would break you, but instead purified you. What was formerly unclear is now unshakable. There is no more place for hesitancy, second-guessing, or retreating. The power inside you is not fragile, ephemeral, or influenced by ideas or objections. It is solid, honed by all you've been through. You talk with authority because you have experienced it. You've been through the fire and emerged with undeniable insight. The phrases that formerly elicited opposition now have power. The formerly shaky posture has now become firm. You are no longer seeking approval. You're no longer begging to be heard. The truth inside you has become too powerful to ignore. They attempted to discard you, disparage you, and persuade you that you were incorrect. However, the truth does not need affirmation to stay true. The spirit inside you has been whispering all along, leading, strengthening, and preparing you for this very time. Those who had doubts are now watching, not because you sought their attention or struggled for their favor, but because the obvious cannot be ignored. In a world full with masks and illusions, authenticity is alluring. What is the truth? Calls to those who are prepared to hear it. You see, certain things in life can't be taught. They must be experienced. Books, secondary information, and watching others travel their journey do not provide this level of authority. This type of understanding comes from the deep places, from the valleys you traveled through alone, from the times when all you had was trust and had to keep on even when you couldn't see the road ahead. This is the knowledge that is etched into your very being, the fortitude that comes with standing in the storm and remaining standing. And now the transition is underway. Do you feel it? You use that weight to shoulder the strain, to comply, to explain, and to prove yourself. It lifts the views of people who never understood your path and removes their influence over you. The desire to defend yourself has disappeared because you understand who you are, what you carry, and what you have overcome. You don't spend energy attempting to persuade people who aren't ready to comprehend. Instead, you go on, firmly grounded in truth and aligned with your purpose. But listen to me. This is not just about you. This awakening, this change, this liberation from the limitations imposed on you, it's not only for your advantage. People are related to your obedience. People are yearning for the bravery that you possess. Your voice is the response to someone's quiet prayer. Your tale is the path map. Someone else needs to discover their own power. What you've gone through has equipped you to lead, inspire, and guide. Make no mistake, there will be some who resist. Some people will be unwilling to listen, who would choose the comfort of illusions than the upheaval of reality. But you're not here to be liked. You're not here to fit into a flawed system. You're here to be a vessel, a source of clarity. In a state of perplexity, be a light that reveals what is concealed. And let me tell you that when you walk, you are really unstoppable. No resistance, no false story, no effort to undermine you can overcome the force of honesty. So go ahead, stand tall, talk loudly, and move confidently. The time for hesitating is past. The time for questioning is over. This is your opportunity to truly become who you were designed to be. Previously closed doors, they're opening. Opportunities that seemed out of grasp, they are uniting the folks who previously misunderstood you. They'll see in time. You do not need to force what was always intended to be yours. You do not need to strive for what is already in motion. Your steps are directed. Your route has been planned. Your mission is waiting. Walk through it. Stand within it. Own it. Because this is only the beginning. The best is yet to come. Many profess to pursue truth, but only a select handful are willing to accept it in its most basic form. Seeing beyond illusion is both a gift and a hardship, one that cannot be neatly packed for convenient consumption. Some will turn away, unable to bear the overwhelming weight of knowledge. Others, however, will lean in and recognize what cannot be ignored. Those who comprehend will go deeper, behind the surface diversions, to discover the mechanics of reality itself. They will no longer accept the polished story and will instead carve their own way, navigating by the stars of knowledge rather than the neon lights of falsehood. It's like morning breaking after a long, starless night. For so long, you traveled through the darkness, believing you were alone, believing that quiet around you equaled solitude. But now, as the first rays of dawn appear on the horizon, you see it. You are never really alone. Shadows change, and figures move ahead. No longer hidden. I am no longer terrified. The people who always knew. The ones who were constantly watching. Those who refused to believe the falsehood. They're here. Look attentively. And the terrain has already started to alter. The disconnect you previously felt was never genuine. It was an illusion designed to keep you in uncertainty. However, illusions shatter in the face of reality. And now, as the mist clears, you know the faces. Some are known, while others are new. All are brought together by a power bigger than chance. Some have been standing with you all along, waiting, holding the line, knowing that this day would arrive. Others, newly awakened, pushed forward, seeking connection and alignment with those who had always seen beyond the curtain. What was once silent is now a movement. What originally seemed like loneliness has turned out to be preparedness. And suddenly the voices increase, not with doubt or hesitancy, but with conviction. This is the gathering. This is the shift. The time for waiting is past. The period of standing together has started. There are forces that cannot be seen with the naked eye, orchestrating circumstances with such precisely that they seem to be simple coincidence, with a named fate, destiny, or an invisible hand directing the path of events. The outcome stays the same, a route lighted at just the right time, leading to an unavoidable meeting with the truth. Those that choose honesty are now surrounded by supporters who provide more than simply consolation. They provide access, influence, and the ability to magnify a message that cannot be ignored. The jigsaw pieces snap into place, creating an image that was always intended to be finished with the storm in the background. The moment of emerging happens not just as a personal accomplishment, but also as a broader corrective to the previously existing imbalance. This isn't just about proving a point or exposing a lie. It is about restoring what was always intended to be. There is no need for gloating, simply the calm pleasure of knowing that perseverance has been rewarded, that the effort had a purpose beyond the current conflict. Now, acknowledgement is granted not because it is required, but because it is indisputable. Following exterior alteration, a deeper shift inside the experience occurred, rewiring perception and improving the capacity to perceive beyond what is offered at face value. Words will no longer govern belief. Every allegation will be evaluated. Each story will be dissected. Every nuanced intention will be investigated. Where formerly there was hesitancy, there is now unwavering discernment. The naive faith that formerly allowed for manipulation has been replaced with an awareness so refined that deceit no longer has a footing. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace come upon you today. I'm here to remind you of a fundamental fact. Our existence is based on God's divine purpose and is unaffected by worldly worries. According to the Bible, everything is done with faith will be returned to God with great blessing. Luke, like the enormous oak tree, our roots are profoundly embedded in God's global truth. His power secures every stride and every stance we take. And now you have the chance to be a part of that gift. When you utilize the super thank you button and contribute $200, you will get a 100-fold return on your investment. Weapons were formerly employed to weaken trust. Allegations of overreaction. Dismissals are camouflaged as concerns. Carefully crafted manipulations have lost their sting. The effort to weaken has only strengthened the patterns that formerly bound perceptions, which have now been destroyed, leaving only unfiltered clarity. Validation is no longer sought from people who live on control. The authority that seemed external has been recovered. Now there's an unbreakable power inside. What started as a struggle for recognition has grown into something far more. This is no longer about proving the past, but about wholeheartedly embracing a future fashioned by insight gained via fire. The world has been not only viewed, but also comprehended, dissected, and reassembled with fresh information that cannot be forgotten. The ability to see through lies has become second nature, and the ability to bear pressure has solidified into an unshakable foundation. This is mastery that was earned, not given, and is undeniably deep and resilient. With illusions shattered and truth recovered, there is nothing more to dread, no longer influenced by the tales of others. The way ahead is infinite, unbound by the constraints that formerly defined reality. What previously seemed inconceivable is now within grasp, waiting to be claimed by those who have the courage to look through the curtain and emerge stronger on the other side. The past was a period of preparation. The present represents confirmation. The future is solely yours to design. There is a unique kind of perception, an instinct honed by experience, an awareness so finely tuned that it detects falsity before it takes form. No pretension can go undetected, and no skillfully written evasion can escape scrutiny. This is more than intuition. It is an advanced comprehension, a mastery of interpreting the gaps between words, the tension beneath grins, the flickers of innocence and kindness that others miss. However, this increased knowledge no longer provides an opportunity for exploitation. Where formerly there were unsecured thresholds, there are now formidable gates guarding what was once too readily offered. Compassion remains undiminished, but it is no longer aimless. Empathy remains plentiful, but not at the price of self-preservation. The heart continues to spread compassion, but with judgment, ensuring that it is not stolen or squandered. This increased understanding is more than simply a precaution. It is a candle blazing the path for those still lost in the fog of falsehood. No lesson learnt via suffering is lost. Every insight gained along the path now acts as a light for others seeking firm footing. What appeared like an insurmountable challenge has become the basis of unwavering determination. The solitude has resulted in greater bonds than anybody could have dreamed. The moments of uncertainty, which were previously debilitating, have now solidified into an unbreakable assurance based on actual experience. No anguish was in vain. No trial. Meaningless. Every one. An alchemy of pain into insight, wounds, and armor. The past has not left any wounds. It has left a map that shows the way ahead. Not just for oneself, but for anybody looking for a route out of the labyrinth. Beyond the din of the world, a new type of voice screams out. Not in words or explanations, but in subtle confirmations that bypass reason and settle immediately in the heart of the soul. An invisible but definite presence transmits signs of certainty, confirming what had long been suspected. This voyage has never been taken alone. Unseen hands have steadied each step. That the unseen currents of existence have carried every moment toward alignment, leading onward even when all seems lost. With the weight of prior illusions gone, the horizon seems infinite. No longer bound by the restrictions imposed by false narratives, no longer linked to a world governed by deceit, previously inaccessible routes come into view. Opportunities that were before hidden now flow smoothly into view. Invisible walls that formerly held potential at a way have vanished, leaving open highways leading to places long considered unattainable. In this new place of clarity, there is capacity for interaction based on truth rather than pretense. Whereas presence used to be diminished to fit fragile egos, it is now completely articulated and unapologetic in its authenticity. Encounters no longer seem like trades, but rather like long-awaited recognition, a mutual acknowledgement of similar souls brought together not by chance, but by alignment. This is not about filling a gap, but about two forces meeting, neither seeking fulfillment, and both already at home. The information learned was never intended to be kept, but rather to be shared with others who stand where the way previously seemed obscure. The words, the cautions, the hard-earned wisdom, all of it is a lifeline for those still lost in the maze of bewilderment. The world is still filled with voices striving to distort truth. But now there is a counterforce, a voice that shouts clearly into the chaos, reminding others of what they have always known but have been trained to question. It's time to spread God's blessings by pressing the super thank you button on YouTube. With a $100 payment or more, you may help him carry out his plan and become a part of this heavenly mission. Every contribution symbolizes God's generosity, and I think it will come back to you enormously, far beyond your expectations. Remember that his protection and blessings are with you at all times, and with each gift, you become a part of his divine plan. You are a powerful, dazzling entity, as his massive rock testified. God's miracles sense the rewards of your kindness in your spirit and light up the world with confidence and bravery. Be blessed, and let the light of the Lord lead you. What previously seemed unclear has become a solid foundation. No longer hesitating. No longer wondering if instincts are correct. Every fiber of being now has entire faith in itself. Fear of what is ahead has turned into enthusiasm for what is to come. No longer going with caution, but with confidence, knowing that each difficulty would just serve as another sharpening stone, polishing what has already shown its tenacity again and again. What happens next is no longer determined by forces outside oneself. The future is not a puzzle to be solved, but rather a masterpiece to be produced. The past has bestowed vision beyond the surface, emotion that converts judgment into knowing certainty without hubris or apologies. These are the tools that have been acquired via trial, now prepared to create a universe unlike anything before imagined. This is neither a conclusion nor a resolution. It marks the beginning of a new age in which the tale is no longer written by those who previously desired control. The pen is firmly grasped. The story recaptured the vision with more clarity than ever. What will be written in future chapters? What realities will emerge now that the illusion's limitations have been removed? The canvas is huge, the possibilities endless, and the creative, fully awakened and aware, is ready to begin.